Hey everybody, it's Jess with Razorback Armory, and today on our Bullet Points podcast, we're going to do some, there's going to be some new rule changes and different things in the industry, kind of let you guys in on some of what that's going to entail. You won't notice it necessarily from a consumer side, but it's from the dealer side, and kind of explaining that out to you if you've heard anything, rumors, some different things that people have been kind of mentioning as they've come in and talked to us. So we're going to use this like a frequently asked questions and kind of package everything up for you. So when you come in to buy a firearm and you pick out your weapon and everything, and we do a 4473. So that's the government form that we're going to enter into the computer, and they're going to see if they're going to give us one of three answers. They're going to give us a proceed, a delay, or a deny. So proceed, you take the gun home with you, everything's good, just like normal. You may get a delay, or you may go what's called to further review. Now, if it's not instantly go through, an actual examiner has to take a look at that. That's just not the inbound clerical side of it, where you've got an interface where they're just pulling up the background record to see if it's okay. Once that gets kicked over to an examiner, you may take up to 30 minutes. Now, if you do not get proceeded that day, they'll give us a delay. The delay means they're going to give us a date, usually up to 7 business days into the future, that we could deliver the firearm to you, okay? So if they have not responded to us, they'll give us that date. You can come back in on that date and pick up the firearm. Or they have the opportunity to contact us as soon as within minutes, days, hour, and then say, okay, that's fine, and then you could be delivered the firearm. Obviously, there's also a denial. If you're denied, we couldn't sell you a firearm if we wanted to. So, kind of breaking a little bit of that down. So right now, if you get a proceed, you get the firearm, you get to take it and go. If you go to further review, then you get proceeded, same thing happens. Now, as of right now, if you get delayed, all right, you'll get that, 7 business days into the future, all right? If it does not, if they don't come back to us in that time frame, we are legally, by federal law, able to deliver that firearm off to you. Right now, that does not include any extra information regarding your file. Now, on the 26th of September, they're going to change that. And what they're asking for now is we're going to need to give them your address. So right now, what we give them is your name. We give them your name, we give them your information, social security number, whatever else you put on there. We do not give them your address. We also do not give them the firearm. We just tell them that you're attempting to purchase long gun, handgun, or other. So there's a couple different things there. Now, once you become delayed, we are going to have to give them your information as far as your address, okay? They will not allow us to get the proceed or the delivery notification for the delay until that information is entered. That is new, okay? That is something that is totally different, that has not been happening, basically forever. Now, on a denial, so if you were to come in, fill out the form, they deny you. That has been the case where they could always ask for the rest of the information, primarily because you probably did something on that form either incorrectly or you answered it that you weren't a felon, you weren't, all the yes or no questions, you most likely entered one of those that you are a prohibited person. So they want your address, and we're probably going to come and talk to you. Now, being in the industry as long as we have in the last 20 or so years, I will tell you that when I get a denial, very few times am I contacted for the rest of the information. Now, I don't get a lot of denials, but I will tell you that out of 10 or 20 denials, you may get 1 or 2 that they actually ask for the rest of the information. Now, at the time of denial, you have to give them all of the other information. So they're creating a database. Some people are saying, they're going to do something different. But as a dealer, I am obligated to do that, or I will lose my license. So with that process of proceed, delay, or deny, okay? If you're getting proceeded all the time, this video is really not for you. You're going to check out. If you get delayed, okay, and you're thinking, well, I don't want to have to do this, there is what's called a UPIN, or a voluntary appeal file. We touched base on this before. The UPIN content and what they require, you're going to get fingerprinted, you're going to fill out the form for them and do everything and send it in. Unfortunately, what we are understanding is they are 11 to 12 months behind in processing those. So it may be something you still want to do, just know it's not an instant process. So you'll fill out all that information, you will send it in. Also, you cannot just send in a UPIN or a voluntary appeal file without a cause. So you'll have to be delayed. You'll have to be delayed or denied. But you'll have to be delayed, and then you'll ask your dealer what your what the actual NTN transaction number is, because you'll need that for your UPIN voluntary appeal file. Once you put that on there, then they can reference that, why that they delayed or denied you, and then you can start to clear that up. So that may be something you want to look into so that you will absolutely be proceeded. Now, they're going to clear out everything in your past up until the date that they submit that. So is it going to mean that you're going to get proceeded every time automatically? It should. I very rarely see people with UPINs ever get delayed. Now, if it's a system problem, which they have, I do see times where we'll see 4 or 5 customers in a row just get delayed, and they don't usually get delayed. We kind of chalk that up to a system problem, because usually by the next day we've already got them proceeded. So if their system's not working, or something is on the ATF, on the NICS side is not working properly, we feel that they will sometimes give you blanket delays. Now, that is going to cause us to have to give them your information now, as the rules have changed. But once you get that and you get your UPIN, it should smooth the process out for you to get proceeded. Just know it's going to take a while. It's not going to be that instant, gratification, boom, we're good to go. But knowing that going in, so when you fill out the 4473 as a dealer, I'm required to keep this on premises and filed in a searchable database pretty much as long as I have my license. Now, they are allowing for digital storage now, cloud-based storage. It has to be a searchable database, and that is for basically trace. So if a firearm becomes in possession of law enforcement, and we get this question a lot, what are they going to do? How are they tracing this? What are they doing? So if the firearm is in possession of law enforcement and they have it, okay, let's say they've got a Glock 19. They're going to go to Glock and say, look, we've recovered this Glock. It has serial number XYZ. Glock is going to check their records. Glock is going to say, hey, we sold that to this distributor. ATF will then go to that distributor and say, hey, we are looking for this Glock, serial number XYZ. That distributor is going to say, okay, well, we sold that to Razorback Armory on this day, or transferred it essentially to Razorback Armory on this date. They will then call me and say, you received this Glock on this date from this wholesaler. What was your disposition of that? How did it leave your books? Now, I could have sold it to another dealer, and I will give them that dealer information and their basic license number, or if I sold it to an individual, I will then have to pull this record, okay? And I will have to then give them that information. Before, it was kind of loosely volunteer, you get to it when you get to it. The new rule changes is they want that stuff in 24 hours. So once they contact us, we have to search our database, go ahead and through it. And then we most every dealer I know is fairly organized, and they keep this where it's a pretty seamless process. It's just time consuming because you got to take time out of your day to find it. But they do that, and that's how they're going to find it. That's how they're going to contact and say, well, Bill here should have been in possession of this Glock, but he wasn't. Or, kind of funny, we're looking at Bill for some criminal activity, and that Glock was recovered. So that's how they're tracing it back. They don't know to come directly to us. They would have to go through that possession of manufacturer, wholesaler generally, possibly 2 wholesalers or 2 dealers, to get to that final dealer where it left and went out. If you have sold a gun, let's say you went and traded that gun in, they may ask you when they contact you, well, where did that go? And then if they need it bad enough, they'll go to that dealer, tell them when it was traded in, by who, and then that dealer would then have to search out that information. But a lot of things are changing. A lot of things are getting tightened up as far as who is looking for it. So that's the NICS instant trace, or the background trace people, the people looking at this. they really didn't hire more people, so it's bogging up the process and slowing down. We're seeing that on eForms e-file, where our 90-day window became 120, became 130, 150, 160. We're hearing now that they're probably going to kick it out to 180 days. It's a lot faster than our paper files, which we're seeing 14 to 15 months transferred over on. So we've got to the digital system. It is a lot faster, but it's still getting it's taking longer than expected, and that's just from volume. The amount of people that are buying suppressors in the United States right now is far exceeding the volume that they base their initial matrix on to say this would be done in 90 days. It could go back to that if sales slow down a little bit, but I think right now I would be ready for that 150 minimum of wait time until everything kind of clears itself up. But same thing, we can trace suppressors the same way. It's a little bit easier with an NFA database because they have the serial number. They can trace themselves because they have all of your information. Firearms are a little bit different. You can do the voluntary appeal for the UPIN. Is it a good idea? If you don't like waiting and you don't like getting on, if you go to purchase and you get delayed all the time, think of it, yeah, it's going to take maybe a year to get that UPIN number, but everything you purchase after that year, you should go through pretty seamlessly. With the new giving of the information on delays and denials instantly before we can actually get the final disposition so that we could transfer that firearm out. If you don't want that information going into ATF, you want to file in for that UPIN and wait. I don't think it's necessarily a big deal, but it is something that people are talking about. It is something that we wanted to do this video on, try to clear it up a little bit for you, kind of doing some, just informational setup on that. You got to get out there and you have to exercise your Second Amendment rights. You have to look at, with the elections coming up, we've got midterms now, 2 years from now, we're going to have another presidential election. You have to look at who supports your gun rights, who supports the Second Amendment, who supports these freedoms that we have the right to exercise and we don't want to lose, but we also don't want them infringed upon. So, the Second Amendment's pretty clear to me. Shall not be infringed, all right? There isn't a firearm listed in the Second Amendment. They don't say you can have a gun, but you can't have B gun. It's your right to bear arms. So if you like that and you're a Second Amendment person like we are, exercise those rights to bear arms. Exercise your right to understand what's going on when you go into a gun shop, what they're doing. It's not all smoke and mirrors, but anybody who asks and we're filling something out, we're more than willing to tell them how this process works, what's going on. What this record and this document that we're creating, what's going to happen with it, how it's stored, where it's going. But just so you can be a more informed gun owner, and when you're purchasing firearms and kind of understand what is going on and are your rights, are they being infringed? Is there a database being collected? Well, yeah, I believe there will be more of a database being collected before, because they only had your basic information that we needed to provide them so that we could, they could say, yes, this person's rights to purchase a firearm are intact, everything's good. Or no, this person has done something to prohibit them from buying a firearm, and they'll give you that denial. The delay, it happens. You'll get something where they have to contact a court or someone to see if that has been all disposed of and everything is fine. It's not super often, but we do get delays, and it happens. If you want to try to curtail that, if you're always getting delayed, the UPIN, our voluntary appeal process, may be something for you. If you have any questions about it, you can always stop by the shop here, or you can contact the ATF directly and tell them you want a voluntary appeal form, but you're going to have a need, and that need is what's called the NTN number, or transaction number, for your delay. So you want to make sure you have that, and the dealer will give that to you. Hopefully this has been informative. Hopefully this has given you a little bit of insight, kind of looking into what we have to do, and know that there are certain rules and changes that are coming up. It is true that it is happening. It's something you may want to look into, but don't let it stop you from buying firearms. Don't let it stop you from exercising your Second Amendment rights. Don't let it stop you when you go to vote, to know that the people that you're voting for have the same feeling about the Second Amendment and different rights, or anything that you hold very near and dear to your heart, that they're going to represent you and keep that going forward. Again, this is Jess, Bullet Points Podcast. I appreciate you guys looking. Make sure you share, like, check us out on Facebook, Instagram. Any support you can give us, we appreciate it. We really want to try to be informative as we can. If you guys have any other ideas, questions, comments, anything, put them in there. They will get to us. If we need to do a podcast or something on that for you, we will. Appreciate it. You guys have a great day.